Hello and welcome to Top 5 Nintendo, where we talk all things Nintendo and make top 5 lists. Today we will be discussing the top 5 towns and villages in Zelda Breath of the Wild. My name's Jake. I'll be your host today, and I'm here with Sam. How you doing, Sam?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you.
Awesome. I know that I've been so excited for this episode. Breath of the Wild is my favorite game, probably hands down ever. Maybe the best game ever made. Not even my own words. Many people have said it. I'm obsessed with the Zelda franchise in general. Breath of the Wild tops the list for me. And let's have a good episode today. Sam, when did you first play Breath of the Wild? Do you remember?
Yes, I first played Breath of the Wild last year, like right before quarantine started. I was a little bit late to the game. I got my Switch because of Pokemon Sword and Shield, and then I from there went into diving into the games that I had been missing out on, and I loved it. It's one of my favorite games that I've ever played in any franchise. Yeah. What about you?
I got it with when I got my Switch about a year and a half ago at this point, maybe 2 years ago. I don't really remember, but I could not put it down. I'm currently playing my second playthrough. I just got the DLC, so I'm doing Master Mode, and I'm really enjoying the DLC so far. But I've probably put over 200 hours into this game. At this point, I think my first playthrough was a solid 130 hours. I might not be at 200 yet, but definitely by the time I get through this playthrough, it'll come soon. But yeah, I think my first playthrough was 130, which is insane when you think about it. But I played a little bit of Ocarina of Time before this, and when I was very little, I played a little bit of Spirit Tracks. So Breath of the Wild was really the first game I played all the way through, the first Zelda game I played all the way through. But I had a little bit of Zelda experience, so I wasn't going in completely blind. But obviously, this is an entirely different experience than anything Zelda has ever brought us, and really, maybe as far as Nintendo has ever brought us. So yeah. I don't know if there's much news lately before we jump into the list regarding Nintendo, at least. We talked about the new Switch Lite color on the last one. I guess they have the indie showcase, although no names are really sticking out to me to discuss unless you have any news, or you want to just jump into it?
I don't know of any. We can jump into it. I could start with sharing a little bit of my own Zelda experience.
Sure.
I was also relatively new to Zelda on my first playthrough of Breath of the Wild. I played through all of Wind Waker as a kid, and I loved it. And it's funny because when I was a kid and I played Wind Waker, the whole world felt so massive to me. I know it's by today's standards, you wouldn't consider that an open world game exactly, but it really felt to me like I was part of this gigantic world, and I could go anywhere in the world and explore any part of it, not bound by any path. And then I as an adult playing Breath of the Wild, I had like the same exact experience. Like I was in this gigantic world and I could explore any part that I saw of it, climb anywhere, swim anywhere. But yeah, besides those two games, not much. I've played a little bit of Link's Awakening, both the original and the remake. And I've been meaning to jump into the other ones. I have the 3DS copies of the
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah. Ocarina of Time. And
do you have Majora's Mask?
Yes, cool. I actually have both of them just because my brother had them and he let me borrow them. So that's just a matter of time.
Cool. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Number 5. Oh, wait. I guess I'm hosting. I'll go first.
Let's hear it.
Right. Okay. I did do some switcheroos last minute yesterday.
Always keeping me on my toes.
Well, really, because I wrote this list before my second playthrough started, and some names on my list come early in the game, so I was able to experience them. I don't want to say in a new light, but it's been a while, so I was able to experience them as if it was kind of for the first time again. I guess it was a new game, so I did make some switches. But anyway, top 5, and this one was always my top 5. This one was always my number 5, is what I meant. Gerudo Town. Gerudo Town is so exciting. It's so different than Ocarina of Time, which is probably what most people would think of Gerudo Town before Breath of the Wild. And it's really cool. Well, at least, so like, you have to be dressed as a woman to get into the town, because only women are allowed. So it's cool that in the beginning of the game, it's there, you see it, but quite frankly, on my second playthrough right now, I'm not really. I know where to get the clothes. I'm not sure how to trigger that side quest. So I'm walking around the town, I'm going through the desert and everything else, but I can't access the town at the moment in my playthrough, which brings like a sense of like mystery to it. It's like, oh, like I want it so bad, but they won't let me get in there. I'll get to it soon enough. But I mentioned I'm trying not to use any guides on this or this playthrough. I mean, so yeah, I'll get in there eventually. But okay, so what I had. Oh, I should mention I'm not like. When I made this list, I visited the towns in my first save file. So I'm not like, although I haven't been in Gerudo Town in this playthrough, I used my last save file so I'm familiar with the town when I'm discussing it, and I put many hours into this game anyway. But anyway, so you're dressing as a woman instead of sneaking around as you do in Ocarina of Time. So in the Ocarina of Time, Gerudo Town, it's pretty much the same scenario where like no men are allowed, but instead of cross-dressing, you're going to sneak around, and if they catch you, they put you in like a little prison, which like you could just hook shot out of. But so that's the main difference here, I guess. Besides, cosmetically, and it really feels like a real community, which the Zelda franchise is really good at having small towns with not a lot of people and making them feel bigger than they are. And Gerudo Town nails it. Like in the grand scheme of Breath of the Wild, this is a small area of the map, but it's filled with shops. It's filled with so many people. They each have their own unique names and personalities. You could go around talking to everyone. I said there's shops, but there's a lot of shops. Like you could buy clothing in there, you could buy arrows, you could buy I think there's someone selling like meats and whatnot in the center area. So you got a lot going on. There's even a garden in the one corner you get from a side quest, which you could, I forget what grows there, but once that garden is grown from the side quest, it feels very fulfilling, and you could always return there to reap the fruit of that crop. There's a little gossip area where there's like the women gossiping, and you have to like stand behind a wall to listen to them to get to one side quest, which is a very Zelda-esque thing. But okay, my point is there's so much packed into this town. What's not to love here? I don't want to keep talking. Feel free to jump in anytime.
I also have plenty to share about that town, and I'm going to save it for when it comes up on my. Oh, it is very much on my list.
Okay, cool. Then maybe I'll save a little bit of my notes. But to continue a little bit, you get. I said it feels like a real community. It's literally just a town of like the baddest ass women. What's not to love here? They have like they're so confident and powerful women. And it's really a joy to be in the middle of it, even though you're. So, okay, let's discuss it. We discussed this via text a little bit ago.
Let's do it.
But okay, so it's a little weird. It's a little weird that you're cross-dressing to get into this town. Let's not dance around this. I did do a lot of reading on this to get theories and context from both sides. So on the one side of you, you're a man sneaking into this women's abode by posing as a woman.
It's like the locker room fantasy.
Exactly. Exactly. You nailed it. It's
like invading
it's a male
the women's
fantasy.
space.
Exactly. Invading a women's space. So that's definitely a little weird. And I think playing the game the first time, I don't know about you, but when he's cross-dressing, I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's a little progressive. But then also, like, when you think about it, he's just cross-dressing to get into this women's town. But, okay. On the other hand, you gotta get the sense that most of the Gerudo women are aware that this is.
I think they bring it up. They
do. Several of them bring it up.
They're like, we let you in here, like we knew.
Several of them, when you talk to them, some of them stumble a little bit, like as if like they're a little confused. Like they're aware. Most of them are aware. So there's viewpoints on both sides, and I don't want to just wash over this, but it's something to address, and it's very valid. As much as I am obsessed with this game, you can't just. It has its faults, and I think this was one of them. It wasn't the most tactful.
There we go.
Way to go about this, but I also think it was a little weird the way they played up the whole cross-dressing thing, almost as a joke. If they made it a little more serious, because the thing about this is like the Zelda and wow, I'm an idiot. The Link in Breath of the Wild, wow. The Link in Breath of the Wild, it has longer hair and has some feminine qualities, so that any player could relate. It's not necessarily a male character. So if they played it off a little more serious, I could have respected it a little more. But I wasn't fond of how they kind of made a joke of the whole cross-dressing thing, and they also so the man that you find in the little village outside of the town that gives you the clothes, they kind of make a joke of him, them. So I don't know. It felt a little inappropriate, and I wish they could have handled that in a little mature way.
Yeah, how I see it is, so the franchise of Legend of Zelda, I mean, they make these games with so much attention to detail. Like there's no accidents in these games, right? So I want to know what they were thinking. What was what was the subtext behind it? There's a real story out of it. It's you cross dress to sneak in to the woman's space, and then they catch you, and they're like, "But we're so powerful." So I don't know. That's a great point.
Okay.
But I also like the city, so I'll let it slide.
Well, if you guys have some thoughts, shoot us a DM or something, or tweet at us. It is something like I'm interested in discussing it. But besides that, badass women living in this town. You could rent seals, dude. You could screw horses. You got
maybe
seals.
The best part.
Yeah, come on. I love that you bomb them and they get kind of, I don't know if you know. Okay, yeah. You throw a bomb at them and they get a little confused. They have I don't remember the exact animations, but they kind of get dizzy when you bomb them, and then that's your opportunity to claim one of them, I guess.
Like mount them?
But you don't mount them. You kind of ride them.
Oh, yeah,
boogie board them. It's just so cool. It's fun. They're not the easiest to control. I don't enjoy really using them as practical means of transportation.
For sure.
But it's fun. It's fun to ride around in them. And it's cool that you could rent them and they kind of stay by your side. But yeah, besides that, the last thing I had was you get the Thunder Helm, which is awesome. And it's like immunity to lightning and electricity. And I think I got it near the end of my first playthrough, so I didn't use it a whole ton, but I could see areas of the game where it's raining a lot, where that's extremely helpful. And Gerudo Town is actually, I mentioned I haven't been able to get in yet on this playthrough, but that's the first Divine Beast I want to do because I want versus Fury, and I want the Thunder Helm because that's going to help me in my playthrough tremendously. I know you're holding off thoughts, so do you want to just go to your number 5, or do you want to talk a little bit?
Let's go to my number 5.
Okay.
Save something for me to say.
Okay.
Well, Jake, I'll tell you what I cheated for my number 5. I was so excited to talk about Eventide Island that I just made it my village for number 5 pick.
How is it? Why is that cheating? Because it's an island?
Well, no one lives there.
Okay.
But
yeah, I wanted to make this episode as broad. That's why I said towns and villages. So it's a little more broad. But I'll give it to you because I want to hear this on the list. I want to hear what you have to say. Yeah.
Well, I had to pick it because the location made such an impact on me in my playthrough. I discovered it as I would imagine many other people did, where I kind of saw a large island in the distance and I was able to glide over to it. And I was like, all right, well, if I screw myself over, then I'm just going to load a save file back to where I was. And then I get there and all of a sudden it, starts a timer on me and I like lose all my items and I have to like get myself out of there.
Yeah. I don't think it's timed. Right.
Oh yeah. It's not timed. It's just what does it do? It just no.
It just
items.
takes all your items, all your armor.
Right.
Everything. I actually just did it. I wasn't able to finish it. It's like actually the first thing I went to pretty much in the region because I love it. So it's actually my honorable mention.
There we go. Yeah. It should have, I could see it being an honorable mention, but it's my number 5 pick.
Okay.
And I got there, and what I love the most about it was like. So Legend of Zelda, all these places, it's hard world building. Like there's rules to things. Like it doesn't really take you out of the experience much. It's pretty grounded within its rules. It's fantasy rules.
Yep.
And then you go to Evented Island, and all of a sudden the rules of the world are thrown out the window. There's no explanation for what's happening, and you have to like do this like island puzzle. And then it's over. It's like surreal in a way, you know what I mean? It's dreamlike, and that's what I liked a lot about it. Is it felt more than like like a hidden gem, like little mini game to play. Right. It felt like
it's like the ultimate puzzle.
Yes, like a real like discovery that I found, like an island that I would like go home to my village and tell people about, and. I don't know about you. I don't know about the people listening if they thought it was hard or easy. I thought it was difficult to beat for sure. And it took me a long time. Like I didn't clear it my first try. That's for sure. But I had so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
And there's this like, there's a rhythm to get to it. And there's, you do the easy parts and you build up your items. And it felt like you just like started the game again for the first time.
Right. So, I mentioned I just played it a few days ago.
Sure.
But on master mode, so all the beasts are one level up. So if you want to say it was hard originally, wow. This is why I'm going to come back to it later because I could not beat it. And then you said like, so you want to go around doing the easy parts and collecting items while you can in the beginning before you go after, especially before you, I don't remember what they call it, but the Cyclops. I forget its like actual name. Right. Sorry, but you don't want to go against a Cyclops without any weapons worthwhile.
Right.
So the most annoying thing is you're spending 20 minutes collecting things and then you die and you lose everything and you have to start from the beginning. So I did that several times and then I decided I need to brushing up my skills a little bit, and I think I'm about ready to go back to it because I'm getting better at my dodges and parries and things like that. So I might go back to it very soon.
Yeah, I can't even imagine playing that on a more difficult setting. Yeah. Like especially the giant. Oh, the giant is like what did it for me.
Right. Yeah. And so I don't know if you knew this, but there's like theories that this is like the island from Link's Awakening, which obviously it's not like the island because that's. You know the ending. Okay.
Oh, no, I don't know the ending of like. Yes. Okay.
Could I spoil? Are you aware of the ending?
I am loosely aware of the ending. You can go ahead and spoil it though.
All right. Skip forward 30 seconds if you haven't played yet. So pretty much at the ending, it's a dream the whole time. It's like the Skyfish's dream. So obviously it's a dream island. It's not real. So, but there's theories that like this island matches up pretty well with the actual island in the game. So if it's like loosely based on it at least, if not the actual island, which I don't think it's the actual island, but it's a very cool Easter egg. Was my point.
You know what's amazing is that that whole like the twist to it was a dream and like that's the big reveal at the end. It plays into like how I felt the Eventide Island was surreal. You know what I mean? Okay. Like it took me like out of the world in like this exciting way. And I guess that's kind of the whole point of Link's Awakening anyway. So I see some parallels to it.
Let alone that's in the middle of the ocean. You're like literally so far away from anything physical.
Exactly.
It took me a while to get there, which is why I was so disappointed to leave without beating it.
Yeah, I know. I feel that.
I'll get back to it soon. All right. Ready for number 4?
Let's hear it.
Okay. What? Okay. I don't know how to say this. I'm gonna say it wrong. Loreland Village.
I think that's how I would say it.
My best bet.
Loreland, yeah.
Okay, Loreland Village is a little beach town with nothing too exciting in terms of actual gameplay, but it is the most relaxing village town. I guess it's a village. It's the most relaxing village vibes you get in this game. It's like on my first playthrough, I didn't even know it existed until after I beat all 4 Divine Beasts. It's really tucked away. But you get it's a beach town. You're on the beach. You have all these little huts and all these like good vibes and tiki torches and whatnot. And the music is so relaxing. And it's just a joy to be in that village. It's a joy to go around talking to all the people, even though, like I said, none of it is relevant to the main story. You never need to visit this village. There might be a shrine outside of it, but besides that, you have no reason to go here except for pure joy, which I love about Breath of the Wild. You could be doing your thing, fighting Ganon and whatnot, even though you never actually doing everything except fighting Ganon, I should say. But you could, within all of this action, you could really just enjoy the beauty of this game in moments like this. When you see this village, you're like, I don't want to speak for you, but I was blown away by the beauty of it. And sometimes, you're climbing up a mountain and it just happens to be like the sunset, and it's like, you know what I mean? You get like the beautiful colors coming through, and that's what it feels like going into this village. It's just a joy. Do you have a lot of experience with Loreland Village?
Well, I'm about to break your heart. I never discovered it on my playthrough. But
I don't blame you. Well, it's tucked away.
It was tucked away. And I'll tell you what, I have seen it.
Okay, good.
So I can speak for how it looks, and I would agree.
Okay. Did you listen to it? The music?
I did not listen to music.
Okay.
You know what's funny?
Awesome.
Is I accidentally, so I was trying to see what the village looked like. I was trying to watch other people just like play through it just so I could know about it. I accidentally pulled up the music instead of the village and then got out of it. So I almost heard it and I didn't. I love how it's like right on the beach and how it's by the water. It makes it feel like very authentic, and it kind of reminds me of like when I played through Link's Awakening. How
I thought you were gonna say Wind Waker.
Oh, sorry. You know what I meant to say? Wind Waker. I really did mean to say Wind Waker.
You actually?
Yeah, I did.
Because my next thing was it's like based on Wind Waker.
Oh, that's
supposedly.
Well, that's amazing.
I mean, I don't think this is confirmed, but it's pretty hard to deny this. There's like, you know, Wind Waker, you start on top of like that big ladder.
Sure.
Look out, they have that. So I mean, that's as soon as you see that, you're like, you get instant Wind Waker vibes, let alone being on the beach. Like, so this is like so I thought it was the beginning, like the beginning area in Wind Waker, but other people think it's more similar to I don't know the name, but another island you visit in the game. And I'm not going to delve too into this because I'm not huge on Wind Waker, so I don't know the most about this. But it's a Wind Waker town. Which is super cool.
That's exactly what I thought, like right when I saw it. So they did a good job designing it.
Super cool. Onset Island's the first one. I wrote that down. So I thought it. So I mean, some people think it's Onset Island. Some think it's the other island that I don't remember the name of, and I didn't write down because I'm pretty sure it's Onset Island.
I would vote it's the first island.
Okay, I'm glad you agree. I wrote that it's a good timeout while Zelda fends off Ganon.
It's a what?
It's a good little vacation while Zelda's dealing with Ganon in the castle. You could kick it back on the beach, get your tan on. There's a gambling mini game which is essential in Zelda, and I hate so much. I don't know about you, but with these gambling mini games, I always do it. I've never once made money on it. I always play it once or twice and then never again. as with most of the mini games, I think in Zelda. But I don't know if you actually can make money on it because I've never done it. Have you ever made money in any Zelda?
No.
Gambling game.
I mean the like the deer hunting game where they're like,
don't even get me started.
You don't like that one?
No, I hate it.
Oh, I've played it so many times just because of how much money you can make off of it.
You can make good money.
Yeah.
I don't like hunting deer.
Here we go.
And I don't like that if you make one slip up, you're done because they all like, if you miss one of them and it's a little too loud, they all run away, and then you have no shot because they all ran away.
Sure.
And then you just lost your money. But you don't do the gambling games. Not much of a gambler. I think they're sending a message to kids here: don't gamble because I've never made money with it.
You know what's funny is so the first Pokemon game had a significant gambling portion of it.
They have the whole arcade area. Okay, yes.
That game was banned in countries.
Wait, like Pokemon Yellow?
Pokemon Red and Blue. Right. And probably Yellow. First? Yeah. I mean, that whole first gen was banned in multiple countries because of its gambling. Yeah. Wow. And it's Nintendo. I mean, it was made for kids.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was gambling.
But they kept
in Pokemon Red and Blue.
In later games.
Well, yeah.
So they must have got around these bans.
I would agree.
That's interesting.
I know.
I didn't know that. But yeah, I mean, the gambling dates back all the way to the first Zelda. There's a guy in the, I think, top right corner of the map, hidden. I think you need to bomb a mountain or something, and there's a little cave. And he's like, give me your money, and then you pick between 3 chests. I think it's the same game exactly, actually. You give him however many rupees, you pick between 3 chests, and I don't know, you get like 5, 10, or 100 maybe, but I've never gotten 100. I'm just guessing what the results might be because I've only gotten nothing in return, like whatever's the minimum. But yeah, it's cool. It's a cool callback. I mean, this whole village is such a cool Easter egg and a callback to past games. And then the last thing I had was it has an inn with a fluffy bed, which I don't think all the inns have the fluffy bed, which gives you the extra heart. So that's cool. You're relaxing. You get the extra heart from the inn. It only costs like 40 rupees, I think. I think a normal bed's like 20 rupees. Do you usually do the inns? Because I usually do the inns. I think 20 or 40 rupees for full hearts. I think that's a steal.
Yeah, I remember doing them in like the first half of my playthrough, and then I was kind of like, this isn't convenient enough for me.
Okay. Or I guess you have like enough meat at that point from
exactly.
like accidentally killing animals.
Right.
Or at least for
God forbid.
For me, it's accidental. Usually, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, there's a fox running by me. I'm like, get out of my face. I'm trying to get to this shrine. Actually, the wolves, when they like pack up on you,
I mean, you have no
kill
choice.
those guys, and they give you the bigger meat. I forget what they call it, but they give the good meat. So I don't mind killing them.
Right.
They're attacking me anyway. I'm just defending myself. But that's what I got. Is it on your list? Or I guess not if you haven't even visited it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even visit it, so
okay,
I really...
So you don't have a whole lot to say?
Yeah, I don't have much.
Cool. I recommend checking out the music when you have a chance. And actually, check out the town when you have a chance.
I probably should.
Yeah. Cool. Sam, number 4. Hit me with it.
My number 4 pick is the first village that I visited.
Kakarika?
Zoro's Domain, actually.
What?
Somehow...
You said bye, Impa. I don't need you.
I know. Somehow I made it to Zoro's Domain before any other place.
That's cool.
I don't know how I did it.
That's what I love about Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
You can do anything.
And I thought it made sense. I was like, first boss battle, like this makes sense.
And the Zoras are all pointing you in that direction. So if you're not going directly to Impa, there's a good chance you're going to come across these Zoras telling you to go to Zora's Domain.
That's exactly what happened. And I was like, fair enough. The game is telling me where to go.
Yeah.
So I went there, and just having it be like the first village I came across, I was like, oh my goodness, this, like how they built the world for this felt so specific, technical, aesthetically pleasing.
Cool.
I was like unfamiliar with the Zoras, I guess. Like I didn't really know the lore of them.
Right.
Like we were talking earlier today. There's like one in Wind Waker, I think.
So there's the river Zoras, which are the evil ones who attack you in the ocean.
Okay.
and they're the river Zoras, or they can't talk. They're just beasts.
Right, right.
So they're like those came way before these peaceful Zora came along. In terms of like Zelda releases. So Wind Waker, I don't actually, I'm not, as I mentioned, I'm not huge on Wind Waker, so I'm not sure. But if you say so, I believe you.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I think there's just one that helps you out. So either way, I didn't know much about them, and I was very impressed when I saw their village, and it just felt very sleek. It reminded me of like the world building of something like the movie Avatar. Where it's just like great attention to detail. What makes me only have it at 4 is that I didn't feel like it felt very like lived in. I'm going to be using this phrase a lot. Okay. Lived in. And I guess it's because they live in the water.
Okay.
It felt more like, oh, I'm going to a palace.
Okay, yeah, because they don't have like necessarily beds and whatnot. They sleep in the little lake area. Yep. Okay.
So it felt more like, oh, it's like visiting the castle in an RPG, like or the king's palace. Like, so I didn't get to feel like totally immersed. I felt like welcomed by like having the privilege of seeing it, but not really like being a part of it. Right. Not a good or a bad thing, just like that was probably the emotion they wanted you to have, was like the spectacle of this,
Yeah, well, I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say the opposite, but that's coming off of Ocarina of Time, where Zora's domain is very small, and I believe there's only maybe 3 or 4 Zora in the whole domain.
Oh, wow.
So it's really small, and it's really like you feel like nobody lives here in terms of the games, especially what's the Gora, I don't know, Death Mountain, there you go. Coming out of Death Mountain where like there's beds and whatnot. Going to Zora's domain and Ocarina of Time really feels empty. So when you go to Breath of the Wild, where, like I said, they sleep in the lake. So I see what you mean, where there's no beds and there's no houses per se. But it does feel a lot more full and a lot bigger than the Ocarina of Time one. Although I agree with you. I'm not huge on Zora's domain and Breath of the Wild, but I'm just stating other people's opinions that I've read, where many people feel this is a really full and really lively area in the game.
No, that makes sense, especially like if I were to maybe have seen a different version of Zora's domain, and then be able to observe like the evolution of it, in a game design sense. I'd probably get more out of it that way. And I did get a lot out of it. And like you were saying, how they lead you to it. It was like, oh, this, like, it's incredible being able to like meet characters that are aware of a location that's far away, and they discuss that location. Like, that's always amazing in games.
It's very cool. Although, like, the first time I played this game and they're popping out of the river and whatnot, saying like, oh, go that direction, this guy wants it. It's the most sus thing. Like, I'm like, who are you?
Oh, I thought I was getting played.
Yeah.
But I was like,
absolutely.
Sometimes part of the video game is like, oh, I'll get played. Like, let's see how it goes.
Yep. Which is cool that you weren't really getting played.
I know.
But I really thought they were about to trap me. So, okay, here's a little background on the Zoras. I'll go through it quick because I don't want to waste too much time.
Okay.
But pretty much they've been secluded. They've secluded themselves from everyone else. They live their own lives. They do their own things. They're part of Hyrule. They're under the Hyrule kingdom. They're part of the kingdom, but they do things themselves. They have their own king in Ocarina of Time. I honestly do not. I know they have leadership in Breath of the Wild. I don't remember if they call him a king per se. I think is Sidon. Is Sidon the younger one?
I forget the term, but yeah, they definitely have like a...
Sidon's a name, but yeah. Okay, I'm just not sure if okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. They pretty much do their own thing. They keep themselves. At some point, there was a war between the Zoras and the Gorons, and possibly the Kingdom of Hyrule. But ultimately, they found their peace and stayed to themselves for the most part. Which is why it's super cool in Breath of the Wild, like how it's just in the middle of like a mountain range essentially, where it's like waterfalls on all sides of it. And I think it's like really cool how secluded it is, and how like you're just like walking along towards this area where everyone keeps pointing you, and then out of nowhere this like huge kingdom comes like in the middle of the ground. I think that's super cool. But all in all, I kind of agree with you that I'm not huge on Zora's Domain. Sure. I'm actually avoiding it in this playthrough. I have the area, like I have the map. I don't want to go anywhere near it. I want nothing to do with it. Mostly because I'm trying to push myself to play in a different path.
Sure,
this time.
That makes sense.
But also because I don't really like spending time there. I also don't like water in Zelda, so that could be part of it.
Why don't you like water in Zelda?
It's annoying. I don't like swimming, especially in Breath of the Wild, where you have the stamina and then you can only swim for so long and then you just drown. And I also don't like swimming in real life, so that might carry over a little bit. There you go.
You have a fear of water, is what it really is.
I'm not scared of it. I just don't like it. So when you're surrounded by water in Zora's Domain, it's just, I don't want to be here.
Mm-hmm. Claustrophobic.
Maybe. I don't know. Do you have any more notes on it?
That's about all I got.
Okay. Let's
move on before you get upset by it.
Oh, I was just gonna say let's go to the break. Well,
let's go to the break.
No. Let's move on. I'll do my number 3 and then let's go to the break. How's that? My number 3. Well, let me double check because I mentioned I switched the order. My number 3 is Hadano Village. Hateno. I don't know how to say it. Whatever.
There was a joke in there. You said how to know. I don't know how to say it.
Shoot.
It was right in front of you.
Shoot. I missed it. Missed opportunity. Whatever. I'm gonna call it how to know for this for the purpose of this podcast. If I'm saying it completely wrong, I'm so sorry, guys. Tweet at me. Tell me I'm an idiot. Okay. I rearranged this. This was my second. Now it's my third. Because not because I like this one less, but because I like my second more, playing it a second time. So pretty much Hadano Village, you get your own house, which is like the biggest thing in Hadano Village, I think, that you can really come across. You could buy this house. You have the whole side quest where you have to get, I think, like 30 bundles of wood, and then I think 3,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees to buy this house that was going to be, I guess, torn down and rebuilt into some Bushi Square house that they have going on. But I guess it's a little implied that maybe in a past life, Link literally lived in that house 100 years ago, or maybe generations ago. I don't really know. But I think it's somewhat implied. This house is, I'm not going to lie, it's a little disappointing because I spent so much time and money on this house, and really all you could do is hang up weapons and armor and shields. Not even armor, not armor, just shields, bows, and weapons is what you can hang up, which is cool, but at the same time, you're not going to use those weapons. My first playthrough, I hung up my Great Flame Blade, whatever, the ice and electric one. I hung up those 3 in a row because it's like the 3 elements, and it just looked cool, but like it's also like, okay, now I'm never going to use these, so I'm kind of wasting my time and money.
It also acts as like a way to store them too, you know what I mean? Like if
extra
you max
storage,
out your inventory.
Yeah, but if you're a Korok pro like me, you don't need. No, I'm kidding. I'm definitely struggling in the beginning of the second playthrough with deciding what weapons to hold. Mostly because the two-handed weapons are stronger, so I want to hold more of those. But when you have quick enemies, you need a spear or a sword, and then you can't. Also, like if you have a one-handed sword, you could also use a shield, so that's helpful. But you don't find a lot of good one-handed swords and spears early in the game, so I am definitely struggling with that. But are you really going to travel for those 3 extra storage spots every time you need one of those things that you stored?
Probably not.
So it's disappointing to me. I wish there was a little more inside. I wish you could customize it a little more, make it a little more homey. In The Witcher 3, you could really customize your house at the end game DLC, not to cross game franchises real quick, but I loved the customization of that. And it's the same because you could hang up armor and weapons and whatnot, but it made it feel more like it felt more like a home overall, sure. Which I wish they did here, but it's still cool. It's a cool thing that they added. Armor storage. You get you get trees outside your house. So you could always come back to, but there's trees everywhere. So then there's also an axe leaning against your house, so you get like a free axe as well, I guess, with the house. But again, there's axes in like every village you go to, like leaning against houses. So that's not really anything. But I do like a good axe. I didn't use the axes a lot in the first playthrough, but this playthrough I'm using a lot of axes to cut down trees and whatnot. I've been finding it useful. The first playthrough I just used bombs to cut down trees, but really the axe is a lot easier.
Axe is the way to go. That's always what I used.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
cool.
For sure.
Cool. You have a stable outside your house, but you can't use it. I wish so badly I could keep a horse outside my house.
It would make sense.
That one thing is like the customization I'm talking about that would have made it feel more like a home. If I could come to my house and I have my horse waiting
your garage.
Yeah, garage. I wish. I really wish. I don't understand why they even put it there. They also put you could see there's a second back room from the outside, and there's a door that you can't open to that back room. So it's like, I don't know why they added all these things that you can't actually use, and it just makes it feel like a more like, haha, in your face, you wasted all this time and money and you can't even like fully utilize this house.
Right. I
don't know. I was a little disappointed. But okay, it also has the horn statue, which lets you trade out a heart for stamina or vice versa, and it just costs you 20 rupees. Well, I guess it's really convoluted where it gives you 100 rupees for the heart, then you pay 120 rupees to return the stamina or vice versa. So ultimately you're paying $20, 20 rupees.
It just makes you feel like you're getting scammed, like for no reason.
Well, I think the point is if you're strapped for cash, if you think that's worthwhile, I would never do that. But if you think it's worthwhile to sell your hearts, quite literally, go for it. You can make some money very quickly, but you're like pawning your health at that point, which I would never do.
It's like literally what builds your character's ability up, and you're selling it for 100 rupees.
Exactly. And I think my first playthrough, the only time I really used that was to trade all my stamina. I maxed out my stamina first before going for the hearts, really, my first time. When you're playing against like on the easier mode, I think that's more worthwhile. So I think the only time I really used that was trading my stamina for hearts so I could get the master sword, because you need like a certain
exactly what I did.
Yeah. And I think that's really why they put it there too, for the most part. I've been trying not to do that on this playthrough because I want to earn that master sword. I don't want to it feels a little cheating to do it that way, to just trade all my stamina and then trade it right back after I get the sword. So I don't really want to do that. We'll see how it goes. I might do that eventually. But I think the horn statue in general is a very cool thing to have, to be able to like go back on those choices you thought were permanent.
Right, and it feels so like tucked away, like you're discovering something. It's not like spoon feeding you, like, oh, here is like an option that we could have just had in the main menu.
Right, definitely. Yeah, it is hidden. It's like behind a hill there. I think somebody points you to it if you talk to them, but yeah. There's a general store. There's a dye shop. I wasn't huge on the dye shop. Did you use the dye shop much?
I think like one time just to say I did.
Okay. I know some people get very into it. I don't. Well, I'm colorblind, so I don't care about. I don't care colors. And I also think. Well, I said with Smash Bros as well. I usually use like the generic. Like I didn't change your style as much. I respect the game. I don't want to change the colors because there's so much thought and time put into the design of these clothes. Why would I want to change the color?
Yeah, I find that it kind of like unimmerses me. It makes me feel like I'm playing like a different version of the regular game, which it sounds dramatic. But I honestly, I think like, well, I'm going to go back to Smash because you brought it up. When I change the colorway, sometimes I feel like that's what messes me up. Like I'm not playing as like the right version of the character. Totally in my head, but you know, that like, that's what makes my experience.
Yeah. To keep things going, I just realized we've been spending a lot of time. What was I going to say? Oh, I wanted to say real quick off of what you said. In the earlier games, you get different. You get defense boosts with different colored armor. In like the very early games, like there's like blue mail and Link to the Past, which is like a blue armor, and I felt the same way. Like this feels weird to be blue right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know what you mean. And yeah, I think I made one armor set all black, and that was probably all I did with it
Sure.
my first playthrough, and I don't think I'm going to touch it in my second playthrough. There is the goddess statue as well, so you could always just trade in those 4 orbs for a heart or stamina. So that's cool. There's the I mentioned to you before. Oh, I wrote this in the wrong town. Never mind. I'll bring it up in the town that it actually belongs in. My notes are confused. There's a windmill in there, which I think is a nod to Ocarina of Time, where there's a windmill that there's a pretty like in your face side quest in Ocarina of Time with the windmill. So I think that was cool. There's the weapon connoisseur, which keeps you coming back to this town. That side quest is a little kid who's like, "Oh, I want to see this sword. Have you ever found it? Like, I've read all about it. I would pee myself if I saw it in real life." And then you're like, "Well, I got it right here." And he's like, "Oh, that's so cool. Now show me this next weapon." And it's a little annoying. It's a little extensive, but it keeps you coming back to the town. And I think it's fun because it's a mission you're always thinking about in the back of your head if you come across that weapon. So like you probably start that mission early in the game and probably don't finish it until late in the game, which I think is really cool.
There's a similar side quest where a kid asks for recipes. Is that the same village?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, I did like that side quest a whole lot because when I was first playing through Breath of the Wild, I was thinking like there's so many recipes in this game and I love discovering them, but I wish they served more of a purpose instead of me just selling the meat because it's the most expensive.
Right.
And he is a good excuse for having a purpose for all the recipes, as I could at least show it to this kid and progress my side quest.
Yep. I'll say on that before we go to the break, my first playthrough, I did not enjoy cooking a whole lot. This playthrough, I mean, cooking's pretty essential in master mode with all the bonuses and whatnot, the boosts, I mean. So I've been doing a lot of cooking and a lot more legit. And with that, let's go to the break and we'll be right back.
Hi there, I'm David.
And I'm Kate.
And we're the hosts of another Zelda podcast.
There are so many good podcasts out there, and some of them in particular concern the Legend of Zelda.
That's right, Kate, and we are another one of them. That is actually the name of our show, Another Zelda Podcast.
And in our show in particular, we talk about some of our favorite dungeons, characters, boss battles. We have top 10 lists.
Yeah, we do deep dives on game design and production aspects of the different Zelda games.
And we talk about our own experiences. We do some review episodes, talk about our challenges, our struggles, and our victories.
That's right. You know, really just almost anything that has to do with Zelda, we like to talk about it. A new episode comes out every other Friday, and you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and YouTube.
And you can also check out our episodes on our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com.
That's right. All right, we will see you there.
Okay, bye.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Mike.
And we are brothers-in-law. We both love beer and are amateur home brewers.
Wait, so does that make us brothers-in-law?
I believe so.
Every episode, we will talk about aspects of beer and home brewing.
But nothing super technical because we're learning this too.
So join us as we sit down together and dive into something beer-related.
Whether it's a little field research, tasting a certain beer style, or beers from a specific brewery.
Talk about our experiences brewing beer at home, including our own solo brews, as well as themed competitions we'll set up along the way.
We will also talk about some of our favorite aspects of brewing, like hops, extra ingredients, building our brew cave, and more. And of course, our own misadventures that have happened along the way.
So, if you like beer, are home brewing already,
or if you have an interest in home brewing and don't know where to start,
join us on Brothers-in-Law Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
And make sure to follow us on Twitter at Brothers-in-Law and check out our website, brothersinlaw.com.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hello, we are back and we are going straight into Sam's number 3. Hit me with it.
All right, so we're going to agree on this one, I think. My number 3 is also Hot No Village, however you say it.
Okay. Let's fly through it.
Okay. Well, yeah, you pretty much said all there is to say about it. But I will add on is aesthetically why I like this village so much is that my bland taste in villages. I find it more immersive when it's like more relatable. You know what I mean? Like not that I'm like living in villages that look like this, but it felt very grounded.
It felt like a little suburban town.
Yeah, like it was their suburban town. It was very grounded, like believable. Like they weren't like pushing my suspension of disbelief too much with it. And it really let me like buy into it. It also feels big, and it feels like there's like different parts to it. It's not like, oh, like this is the town, everything is in the middle right here. Like that's how I felt about Zora's domain a little bit. But it's like, oh, you go there, and then like you climb up, you go that way, and then you're at the like the tech lab.
I didn't even mention that.
Yeah, the tech lab.
Yeah, you got the ancient tech lab. I'm not huge in the tech lab. I think the characters are a little bit annoying, and there's not really. I mean, you get the upgrades, but I think they could have just gave you the upgrades to begin with.
Well, there you go. You just ruined all my fun with that. No, I
did you enjoy it?
I did like the characters a little bit. The whole like getting the things from the things.
Exactly.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I didn't need that.
Okay, maybe I didn't like it because if at this point in the game, it felt like you finished the training. That was like the Great Plateau. And now it's like, okay, cool. You finished that. Now here's more training. Like, here's how you use a camera. Like, I know how to use a camera. Come on.
Right.
Like, it felt a little slow. And it took, like you said, it took me out of the game a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I did buy it. I just liked the village just because I felt like, wow, this is like where people are living. Like this is where, you know, the people are from. Like it let me believe the world a little bit because of the existence of Patna.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you said all the good stuff there is to be said about it. So
okay, cool. My number 2, which was swapped with Naroden Village, is Kakarika Village, which is again another one that's familiar from Ocarina of Time. And sorry, I'm just trying to find where my notes are because I move things around. But you get the first great fairy fountain that you supposedly come across in the game. Not that there's any order you could play this game in, but you're supposed to really go to Kakarika Village first to talk to Impa. So it's implied that you're going to find that shrine, and then right next to the shrine is the first great fairy fountain. The great fairies are very eccentric in this game. They're a little in your face and a little intimidating maybe, but it's super cool. I think it's very cool that you could upgrade the armor and the certain like armor boosts that you get. Some of them are very helpful. So I think that's a cool little like fetch quest like side thing to do. Not that you're gonna be like focusing on upgrading your armor per se, but it's cool to like come across these fairy fountains and be like, oh, I already have this material, I could just go ahead and upgrade. Although actually they do cost a good amount of money, but yeah, I find them to be fun. Besides the fairy fountains, you get the cuckoos, the little chickens, straight out of Ocarina of Time. I almost said Kakarina. Man, I'm missing all the jokes tonight.
I know.
Yeah. So in Ocarina of Time, you're asked by a farmer to find her lost cuckoos, and you have to find them all around the village. So they took the same thing in this game. Same thing. The farmer comes up to you. I guess not even a farmer. This is a guard this time, but I guess he farms on the side. It's Impa's guard, and he says like, I lost my cuckoos. Could you find them? Like, what am I gonna tell my wife? I'm ruined. Whatever. So you're running all over, and some of them are pretty hard to find. Although I think it's more of a true hide and seek and less strategic than Ocarina, where like Ocarina, you have to think a little bit to get to some areas where the cuckoos were hiding. But it was cool. It was a cool throwback, a little nod to Ocarina again. The entrance archway is this is the same one pretty much from Ocarina of Time as well. And it felt so cool walking up there the first time and being like, wait, this feels familiar. Have I been here before? And then seeing that archway and being like, shoot, this is the same Kakarika Village, pretty much. It's not in reality, it's a different one, canonically, but it felt very much the same, and that was, I think, purposeful. And part of me was waiting for a loading screen, like there is an Ocarina of Time between, the central area and the village. Keep things going. You got the armor shop, you got the inn, you got the general store. You got 2 general stores actually, which is cool. There's cooking pots. There's another goddess statue, which is actually, I find to be the easiest one to get to. So if you're quick teleporting to the shrine I mentioned a second ago, I think you jump off the ledge there and go right to that statue. So whenever I'm trying to cash in my orbs, that's the statue I go to. So I'm coming back to this town a lot. And then I very, very, very much wish they kept the original music from Ocarina of Time, but it's a little bit different. And I think the original Kakarika Village music is one of the best soundtracks. So I was a little disappointed they didn't keep it, but at the same time, I think they would have got just as much flack if they kept the same exact music. So I don't blame them. Is this on your list? How do you feel about it?
This is not on my list at all. So, like you were saying, this is meant to be the first village you discover. Well, it was the second village I discovered, so It didn't have that same impact on me.
Okay.
And I also discovered it like in pretty quick succession to Hotno Village. So they kind of all blended together with me, and of course I've had to go back to it. I do like it. I like how it looks. It's still grounded like Hotno Village, like it feels believable, which I liked. But there wasn't too many lasting impressions on me. Yeah, it's nice, and I like how the houses, how the buildings look.
Yeah, like a Japanese style.
Yeah, it's like the Japanese style. I was a fan of that.
Yeah.
It felt like it had its own culture, its own aesthetic.
Exactly.
It was very nice.
And again, it's like secluded within a mountain range, so it really does feel like its own little town. And I think it was very well built, and it really does. It very much feels like a full town, and I appreciate that. I have more to say, but in honor of keeping it going, what's your number 2, right? Yes.
Number 2. My number 2 pick is Goron City.
Okay.
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Are you shocked? What was that reaction?
Yeah, it's not on my list.
Not on your list at all? Okay.
No.
Well, I'd have to pick it not exclusively to the qualities of the immediate city, but to its environment, to its location in terms of its environment. That felt like getting to the city felt like the highest scale Zelda experience I've had in my limited experiences. It was like so difficult. Like it gets real hot, and you have to take
the flame breaker.
Yep. You need the
I think I remember discussing this on my first playthrough.
I think so.
Where to find the flame breaker suit.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's gigantic mountains, and you're like passing them. You're trying to like find like how to get to the village, and
you see it the whole time.
Yeah,
it's a huge mountain.
Exactly.
You see it from the beginning of the game. You know it's coming, and then you get there, and it's exciting.
It feels like an adventure movie,
yeah,
like a real one, like I'm watching Lord of the Rings or something. Like it's, and then you finally get there, and it's like the circle of like shops, and they're great. I feel like the design of the characters is so fun. I just love how the Gorons look and how they act.
I love them. Yep.
Yeah, they feel like they're probably the friendliest. You know what I mean?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like welcoming. It's funny the contrast where it's like the village that you have to cross like volcanoes to get to, and you can't even stand there without your armor because it's so hot, and it's like a fun.
These guys are eating rocks. Oh, and then Link also eats a rock, right?
I forget some point when he does that, but that sounds like something that happened.
Maybe that was in Ocarina. No, I'm pretty sure it's in Breath of the Wild.
It sounds believable.
I think it was. Yeah, I think that's hilarious.
And just it's the environment that surrounded it, and then like climbing up the mountain, and then you have that one guy who you can shoot out a cannon.
Yeah.
What was it called? Death Mountain.
Death Mountain. Yep.
Yeah, I mean that was just a great experience, and it felt like the village was really like intentionally placed.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was really like represented a part of the greater region, like this culture became this way because it was influenced by its environment.
Right.
Like, very believable, but also had that like fantasy flavor to it that made it like interesting to learn about.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. No, I'll give it to you. I could see why it wouldn't be on your list because it's not that flashy, right? It's
not that memorable. I mean, to me, I'm struggling. It's a little hazy.
Really?
It's been a while to be fair, but
I feel like I spent a lot of time there. I don't know why I would have, but I feel like it did. And it is just a circle.
Yeah. Well, it's just a circle in Ocarina as well. So I guess they kept true to it. I respect that.
For whatever reason, they were like, it should stay this way.
Well. And I'll say this as well. I've played so many more hours of Breath of the Wild, and probably mostly because it's a longer game. But the Ocarina Goron Village is much more memorable to me.
Wow!
So I think that speaks a bit about how much I didn't. It's a little I dislike it a little bit. Let's just say that.
Okay, you dislike it a little bit. That's okay with me. I also liked how the people felt like so powerful there. You know what I mean? It's like, they're
strong guys.
They're strong guys. Yeah. It's like we live around rocks. Of course we're strong.
We eat rocks. We mine rocks.
We like spend all day carrying heavy things. Yeah. It's reminiscent of how like the rock Pikmin were the strongest ones. Right. It's like, we are the rocks. Like, it was believable to me. I just had fun in that environment, and Goron City reminded me of it.
Okay. Oh, it's Goron City. My bad. I said village earlier. I want to say I love the Gorons as people. I love their characters. I think the characters are very memorable, but the village itself, I don't remember a whole lot about it. I do remember like the hike up the mountain, but I don't know. Didn't catch my attention too much really.
Fair enough.
Is that all you really had to say?
That's all I got.
Cool. My number one, and not even my number one, the number one, like hands down, we're gonna do Terry Town, which is
Terry Town.
You knew I had to. You knew I love Terry Town. I love me some Terry Town. Terry Town is, I guess, the fetch quest of Breath of the Wild. I love my fetch quests in Zelda, and this is like the ultimate fetch quest where you're creating a town from the ground up is the name of the side mission, but you're literally from the ground up. You're creating, you're cutting down the trees, you're breaking the boulders, or you're finding a Goron to break the boulders, because as you mentioned, they're very strong. So and then not only that, they have their little touch where only people whose last name ends in son can live here, which is pretty humorous, I think. And then it makes you think like, I kind of remember like when you're meeting a Gerudo with the last name like something Son, like it's not a Gerudo name, so it kind of catches your attention, and then you're like, wait, I kind of remember that. Let me see if I remember where she is, so I could get her to come to this town. And it's just, that's another mission, like I said earlier, that you might find earlier in the game because it's in Hadano Village that you meet the builder guys, but it's a mission that you might get early on and then keep coming back to throughout the game, and I think that's really awesome, and it keeps bringing you back to the space. There's also another great fairy fountain right outside of the village, and there's I put my notes down, that's how much I love this, I'm not even looking at my notes. There's the Bone and Fang, what's the guy's name? Kilton runs the Bone and Fang shop that is under the bridge of Terry Town at nighttime. Sometimes I think it's been there every time I've looked for it, but I think it's really not there every night. I don't really know for sure though. But there you could buy. He sells like masks and whatnot that make it so that the beasts don't attack you, or it's harder for them to recognize you or something like that. I don't really know. but I think that's cool. I'm gonna pull my notes back open. But what else do we have? Oh, we had the okay, there's a wedding at the end. The whole thing, the whole great shebang of this thing is like you're marrying this Bolson builder guy who built the town with a Gerudo woman, and there's this whole wedding going at ceremony, and it's kind of Animal Crossing esque.
It's very Shakespearean, ending with a wedding.
Yeah, I think it's so cool because you're bringing people from all over the map with all these different personalities and different cultures and everything, and they're all living in this one space, which is really like pretty well said for what Breath of the Wild is, because Breath of the Wild is like thousands of years after the other Zelda games. So you really see the mending of cultures in this game and how it influences the different people, species, whatever you want to call them, races, which is super cool. It's just so fulfilling. It's so fulfilling. I love it. I don't know. I could keep going, but I don't want to spend too much time. What are your thoughts on this?
So, as I might have told you before, I discovered Terry Town, but I did not complete it because I'm not big about those kinds of quests where it's like, all right, go do this, and then you come back. All right, well now do this other tedious thing. I think I've seen like frames of the completed town and liked it, but I would give it an honorable mention because I love the idea of participating in building a town, but I just cannot speak on it at all because of my disinterest in actually building the town. It's
a lot of effort, but I think you should do it if you ever play this game again. It's so fulfilling. I'm reading my notes now. I wanted to mention that the music also develops as the town develops. So you're starting with just like one instrument line, and then it adds another instrument. It's I don't think I noticed that the first time either, but it's so cool. I love it. I love everything about this town. Sam, let's round it out. Number one, what do you got?
So, the absolute number one pick, the objective number one pick is Gerudo Town.
Okay.
It was the second to last town I discovered, and it still blew my mind. I loved how there was like the bazaar in the front. It felt like there was...
I was trying to think of what it was called earlier.
The bazaar.
I said the
Caracara Bazaar.
Yep.
And it's amazing because it feels like an extension of this culture.
Definitely.
You know, like it's not just, we designed a village, let me put it in the corner of our map. Mm-hmm. It's like, this exists. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? And there's people who aren't just there.
And there's like a subculture surrounding it.
Yes. It adds depth to the village. I also love how much like effort they put into like building that culture. I mean, obviously they borrowed from it seemed like Eastern culture. They had a little flavor of that in there.
Middle Eastern.
Sure, exactly. But then all these villages have lore, but I wanted to get you to talk about how apparently there's only one male Gerudo.
Yeah. Okay.
Every 100
we were talking
years.
About this a little earlier today.
Explain to me.
So, according to Ocarina of Time, every 100 years, one male Gerudo is born. The reason for this probably is because only women are allowed in the town, and so I don't know who's having babies because there's no men. So it's not really explained. It's not like, is this like a Jesus type thing where someone just becomes pregnant every 100 years, or do they send one woman out every 100 years to have a baby? I'm not really sure. Again, I guess if you guys know, tweet at me, but I've done so much research on Zelda and I didn't find this anywhere. So I was telling you, in my opinion, I don't really think that's the case. I think that's more of a lore, a legend with the Gerudo, especially by the time of Breath of the Wild. Okay, Ocarina of Time, that's definitely the case. Like, it's very much the case. Ganondorf is the only male. But by the time of Breath of the Wild, it seems like it's kind of these women's goal, not goal, but like they want a relationship. They seek relationships. They have classes where they learn to interact with is Vo or the men?
That sounds about right.
Yep. So where they learn to interact with these Vo. So they, some of them, when you talk to them, they even outside the village, one of them's walking in the desert, and if you interact with them, they say like, "Oh, you're a man." Like, I don't remember exactly what they say, but they kind of flirt with you, and then you're allowed to flirt back or not. But I think either way, they turn you down. But like, it's clear that like these women want men, want families, I guess. So although there's no male Gerudos in Breath of the Wild, it seems like it's not really plausible that there's only one male every 100 years, unless they're not considering like a crossbreed as a Gerudo. But
that's what I would believe it.
Mm-hmm. But then that would be my initial theory that it's kind of a Jesus scenario where they're just randomly impregnated, which I also don't find believable. So I don't know. Maybe we'll find out in Breath of the Wild 2 a little more info on that, but it's interesting.
Could be cool.
Yeah.
Well, what really hooked me in was, I might have used this to describe another village, but how lived in the town feels. Definitely. Like, it doesn't feel like, oh, they designed the village, and now time to throw in the characters. Oh, we'll put one character there, we'll put one character there. It's so believable that they all have jobs there. They have places to live. They have places to socialize.
There's a bar even, yep.
Yep, they have
their own drinks with their own names.
The drinks, they have the vehicles to ride. They have the seals. There's a place where all the seals are.
The seal rental. There's 2 seal rentals.
Yes, the seal rentals. They have the bazaar, like I was saying. They have their like ice queen.
Yeah.
That they worship.
Let me think. Empress, maybe?
Something like that. They have that. They have like their military.
Yeah. They're definitely a militant people. Similar to what I was saying about the Zoras, where they're very secluded and they keep to themselves, but they're still under the kingdom of Hyrule.
There you go. So I just really liked exploring it, and I felt like there were all these different like nooks and crannies that I could like discover even after I thought I saw most of what there was to see.
Yep.
And just made me love the town. I liked the aesthetics of it. It felt like modest and at the same time a spectacle.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like they're like sitting on the ground, like, oh, here's fruit that you buy, right?
Yeah.
And then you keep walking a little bit, and then there's this like amazing palace, and they give you like, they just handing you out like the greatest weapons in the game.
Yeah. They have those scimitars.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I loved it, and I love the seals.
Yeah, I love the seals too. I respect it. I already spoke about it, but cool. I want to do some honorables because there's so many places. I'm going to go through this real quick. I don't know if it's Rita Village or Rita whatever they want to call it.
Rita Village.
It is Rita Village.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, I think Rita Village, a lot of people don't really like it. It's a little, it's small. It's like very tall, but there's not a lot going on.
It's vertical.
It's vertical. There you go. But I think it's really pretty. I think you get some really nice views of just the Breath of the Wild. Like you, what am I thinking of here? When you could climb to the top. It's vertical, so you could really see out and see a good amount of the map. And I think it's really pretty. There's also like the flying range or shooting range or whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's pretty cool, I think. Not my top 5, but I want to mention it. I don't want to go without mentioning the Rito. We talked a little earlier. The Rito are a little weird. Why are they flying? Where did they come from? Who knows? Maybe in Breath of the Wild 2 be explained a little bit. I also want to mention I don't know if this is, I don't even know if the Sheikah hideout, I think they call it.
Right.
Which I think is, wait, it's not the Sheikah. Who are the guys?
Is that about the ninjas?
Yeah.
Oh, I forget their name.
They took over the, oh my gosh, I hate myself. All right. I'm making myself look like a doofus now.
The ninjas.
The ninjas. They're not ninjas. The banana people, I'd rather call them. Let's call them the banana people. They love bananas. Are you aware of what?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Have you been there though, to the hideout?
Yeah.
Well, okay, I call
yeah.
it the Sheikah hideout because originally it's implied that this was a Sheikah hideout. This would belong to the Sheikah, and these banana people took it over. I'm so mad that I'm calling it banana people. It's very cool to see because we don't get a lot of Sheikah. We don't know a lot about the Sheikah. So it's cool that we have this area that's a little bit untouched. Although the banana people did vandalize it a little bit. I'm not going to go too far into that, but it's cool to see some like ancient artifacts per se. And then it's a sneaky little quest where you're climbing along the ceiling and they can't see you or they'll mess you up, and then you fight Master Kogo, which is a hilarious boss battle. That's what I got. Do you have any honorables, or you ready to just wrap this up?
Yeah, I'm with you on Rita Village. I think it's a cool idea. I think vertical exploration is the calling card of Breath of the Wild, and Rita Village is a great example of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got. Should we figure out this top 5?
Yes. Okay. Terrytown number 1.
Well, you know what? I shamefully can't even speak on its quality. So I have to trust you fully on where that belongs.
It's so rewarding. I love it.
My only request is that Gerudo Town gets placed higher than a 5.
Okay, fine. What do you want? What are you thinking?
Well, we have Hotno Village at 3, so it's between 2 and 4 for Gerudo Town. Okay,
what would you want the other one to be?
Let's say Gerudo Town 2, Hotno Village 3.
Sure.
It sounds like you don't like Zora's Domain too much. Could we do 5 for Zora's Domain?
I'm not huge on it. And then what would number 4 be?
We could do one of your picks for number 4.
Oh, okay. You wouldn't mind Kakarika Village?
Let's do it.
I love me some Kakarika Village.
I do like it too.
Cool. So that's number 5. And then we said number 4 is what? Zora's Domain? What do you just say?
I would gladly take that.
No, I don't remember what you just said.
Zoro's Domain for 5. Kakarika for 4.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, top 5. Number 5, we got Zora's Domain. Number 4, we have Kakarika Village. Number 3, we have Hotno Village. Number 2, we did Gerudo Town. Number 1, Terrytown. There you have it. Top 5 towns and villages in Zelda Breath of the Wild. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is our 3rd episode. There should be 2 other episodes up by now that you can listen to. You could reach out to us or connect with us on Twitter at Top5Nintendo. That's the number 5, not spelled out, Top 5 Nintendo. You could also send us an email, top5nintendopod@gmail.com. Again, the number 5, top5nintendopod@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Sam. This has been a complete joy for me.
An absolute blast.
Awesome. See you guys next time.